Hello everyone. Like most people, I have become Hamilton obsessed after watching it. I have watched the whole thing 3 times and I have listened to the soundtrack at least 10 times. So creating my top 5 favorite songs in Hamilton is not easy because there are so many good songs. I knew my top 3 right away, but I kept going back and forth for the last two. But eventually I finalized my top 5 songs in Hamilton. So here we go. And spoiler alert just in case. Number 5 is You'll Be Back. It is probably the easiest song to follow if you're not a rapper. It's basically a British pop song which is appropriate because it is sung by the English King. I admit I'm not a rap or R&B fan, so the first time I watched it, this is the song that stood out. And it helps that it was sung by Jonathan Groff, who I knew from Glee and Frozen. The song is so funny and a lot of fun, especially if you know the history of the American Revolution. The song contains some historical reference like the Boston Tea Party and King George going mad. King George has two other songs which are the reprise of the song, and those two songs also have a lot of historical reference. They're all great and funny. So that's my number 5. Number 4 is Satisfied. The most memorable part of this song is the rewind scene, which was fantastic choreography. The song itself is also amazing. The singing by Renee Goldsberry is just so good. It established the Angelica character as at least equal, if not greater than Eliza. We all know Eliza was the one who married Hamilton, but Angelica is just as important to Hamilton. This song repeats the scene from Helpless, but this time from Angelica's point of view. It's great storytelling. It shows both characters' feelings about Alexander, and it shows us how Angelica sacrificed her own happiness for Eliza's. And this is reaffirmed in the second act reprise after the whole affair is revealed. She once again said that she loved her sister more than she loved herself or Alexander. So yeah, such a great character in the musical. Number 3 is The Rumor It Happens. This song is just so catchy. The way the song is structured is just perfect, it's so good. It's also historically important. It is about the compromise that Alexander Hamilton made with Jefferson in order to establish the national bank. In exchange, the nation's capital moved south to the border of Virginia and Maryland, so basically the border between north and south. So like Burr said in the song, Hamilton sold New York down the river to force through his plan because before moving to Washington, all the meetings of the cabinet happened in New York. The song is mostly from Burr's point of view with some Thomas Jefferson lines, but every time Thomas has a line, it's always preceded by Thomas claims. So we don't really know if that's what really happened. It's just what Thomas claimed happened, and nobody knows because no one else was there. The real meaning of this song is that politicians compromise. We can vote however we want, but once they assume office, we have no control over how they compromise with each other. So sometimes it's impossible for them to fulfill their campaign promises. And we don't have full control over how decisions are being made because we are not in the room where it happens. This incident finally spurred Aaron Burr into action and got into politics. He couldn't wait for it anymore. So at least in this musical, this is the reason why Aaron Burr got into politics, and that eventually lead to the duel which killed Hamilton. So there's a piece of irony there. Hamilton's success in establishing the national bank set off a chain of events that eventually led to his death. Number 2, One Last Time. This may be a weird one because maybe not too many people put this song in their top 5, but this song holds a special meaning to me as someone who admires George Washington. This song is about George Washington willingly stepping down and laying aside his power as the head of state. It sets precedent that future presidents not just in America, but around the world, that presidents should have a term limit. Many times I have seen freedom fighters or revolutionary leaders who win independence for their countries became dictators because they don't have term limits for their presidency. And that's also the case in Indonesia, where our first two presidents didn't have term limits and they both ended their presidency not peacefully. So what happened back then is not for this video, but basically the transfer of power was not peaceful both times. So eventually we amended our constitution and now our presidency has a term limit, 2 times maximum, just like in America. And I believe George Washington was the first ever head of state to step down willingly. And that makes him my favorite statesman ever in the history of the world. If I have to make a tier list of US presidents, he would be the only one on the S tier. And Lincoln has to be satisfied with the A tier. Because George Washington, I think, is still one tier above Lincoln. So that's my number 2. Before revealing my number 1, honorable mentions, everything else. I know that's cheating, but I like all songs in the musical, and especially songs like Wait For It, My Shot, Cabinet Battle Number 1, Dear Theodosia. They're all great. I'll just put everything else in the honorable mentions. So my number 1, my favorite song in Hamilton is the Schuyler Sisters. This is the best song in Hamilton, in my opinion. It is early enough in the musical. Up to that point, we had 4 serious songs. Then this song hits, and this song hits. It's a happy, energetic song. It's full of energy. Introduces the Schuyler Sisters, and it gave us Aunt Peggy. Peggy doesn't have a big role, so giving her the Aunt Peggy line makes people remember her. And this song is also kids friendly. I've seen kids cover this song brilliantly, and it's just an amazing song. I don't have anything else to say. Great song, and it's number 1 for me. So there we go. My top 5 songs in Hamilton. You'll be back. Satisfied, The Room Where It Happens, One Last Time, and the Schuyler Sisters. Thanks for watching.